Coverage beginning later today at 3:30 Eastern Time. Welcome into our coverage of practice and qualifying with Parker Kligerman, Jamie McMurray, two guys really good on the road. I'm Adam Alexander, and I'm not, and my wife can confirm that. A lot of time in the car the last couple of days. She tells me what a bad driver I am. Great to have you with us here. We look forward to the race later today. Always fun when we go racing here. I said it's a rainy Saturday morning. A lot of rain overnight, a lot of rain earlier today. Not raining right now, but as you can see, we're trying to get the track dry. The track drying equipment is going to make another lap, and at that point, NASCAR will reset and determine how we're going to handle the next couple of hours and what we get as far as on-track activity before we go racing later today. And the one thing that is for sure, once we put the green flag in the air, the two guys we're going to be talking about, Jamie, it's going to be Shane Van Gisbergen and Connor Zilisch. They are elite when it comes to racing on the road.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun to watch what these guys have been able to do. And if you just look at a comparison of those two drivers versus everybody else in the field, look at that. More wins, more poles, almost there on lap sled. It's been a lot of fun to watch them. Their skills make everyone else better. Everybody's trying to learn from these guys. And you know, Shane, a little bit older, but Connor just being so young and what he's been able to accomplish. Been a lot of fun to watch.
It was entertaining here a year ago, watching these two go at it. Connor Zilisch is one in his two O'Reilly starts here at Watkins Glen. He understands this place. Let's look at the track map. Take a little trip around this 2.45 mile layout, and you guys can hit the high points.
He's undefeated, and probably should have him go around here and tell us what he does. But if you're looking at it from our perspective, what I've done here in the past, it's 150 miles per hour into turn one. Heavy braking zone here downhill into turn one, but now tighter because those tire barriers on the exit means it's a little slower to the center. And if we look at how those affect things back at the truck race last night, once it goes crazy, Chris Wright finds himself bowling there into some tire barriers. It just makes it tougher, but it also makes it more restrictive on the exit. Then through the S's, you try to be in the throttle as much as possible through these S's. Basically flat out on the left-hand one, up to fourth gear at 170 miles per hour towards the bus stop.
Massive elevation at this track as well as you go up through the S's. We're going to enter the bus stop right here. It's one of the best passing zones on the entire racetrack, on the entry, but you want to have a good exit as you enter the carousel. This is a long sweeping corner, downhill as well. Cars really on the verge of being loose. We're going to ride on board with Christian Eckes from last year. You see him enter these S's, big curb on both sides right here. See a lot of guys use too much of that, actually get into the dirt. See the track starts to fall away from you right here, going downhill. He's working a little bit at the outside of the car in front of him. And the one thing that's different this year, watch how wide all of these cars go on the exit of the carousel. That is not going to be an option this year. Parker referenced those tire packs in the exit of turn one. We are also going to have a tire wall on the exit of the carousel.
Yeah, then they head to turn 6, the left-hander. It's about 150 miles an hour. And then into turn 7, the final corner. It's sort of banked. It's hard to get the throttle down. And we've seen instances here like SVG and Connor Zilisch with SVG having a hard hit in the outside barrier, showing you the amount of speed you have around this place. One of the toughest corners to get the power down, but 2.45 miles, 7 turns, and one of the fastest, most picturesque road courses in all of North America.
Let's look at those tire packs, and I did see someone, you know, tomorrow's race here, the Cup race, is the Go Bowling at the Glen, and I saw someone on social media. They said, you know what, we should have painted the tire packs like bowling pins, because undoubtedly we're going to see, you know, them get punted like they did in the truck race yesterday. But, you know, when you talk about those track limits and how it changes the game here, it's going to be interesting in 1 and 2. But in particular here, as Jamie referenced, coming off the carousel in turn 5, because this is the part of the track where we have just seen some horrific accidents over the years, including in this race a year ago.
Yes.
It got a little bit out of control.
It did.
How much of the racetrack they were using exit of turn 1, but also right here at the exit of the carousel. It was just natural that when you go off of that corner, you want to run really wide. We'll take a look back here. Austin Hill, you see trying to get this outside of Michael McDowell. You don't realize how fast you're going at this racetrack until you start to slow down. And when you look at the carnage, oh my gosh, look at the impact right there. All these guys behind trying to get slowed down. You can't see. There's also oil all over the racetrack for even some of these guys trying to slow down. You just can't. Track completely blocked right here.
And you know what you mentioned about going too far. The day before I had racing the trucks, I had the exact same moment that Austin Hill had, which is I got to the outside of another truck right here off the carousel, and I had the same realization, which is I was looking at the wall and grass and thinking, wait a second, I need to get back to the right. I ended up lifting, sliding in behind, and giving up 2 spots. Obviously, Austin Hill didn't do that, but you know, it just got to where we're using more than the track intended you to use. It's not designed, the barriers aren't designed that way, and I have been very vehemently opposed to track limits, if you've seen any of my stuff over the years about track limits, because I don't like when it is that you're deciding that there's a white line or a painted line on the track that decides a track limit. I applaud NASCAR for looking at this issue. We tried those perforated areas right there that you're pointing out, Jamie.
Yep.
That didn't work. It actually added grip. So putting a physical barrier there, to me, is the best result you could possibly have in terms of saying, hey, we don't want you out there, but we're going to put, instead of saying you can't go there just by just saying, hey, arbitrary line or something, we're going to have to officiate, we're going to put a physical barrier that says, if you put your car there, you're going to hit something.
The thing is, when there's a wall, your mindset is different 5 seconds before you get to the corner. You know you're going to have to exit lower. I think this is going to work out just fine. Yesterday, it's really only an issue in turn 1 on the restarts, because knowing that you can't go out there, you race the track differently.
A handful of guys that raced yesterday are racing today, some tomorrow. I wonder what advantage they have by going through the paces and getting an understanding of the feel of the track in this new configuration with the track limits. Brent Cruz competed yesterday in the trucksies with Dylan Welch. What's up, guys?
Yeah, we'll get some real-time and real-world reviews of those barriers that we just saw. So how did that impact things yesterday, just as far as making a lap in racing here at Watkins Glen?
Yeah, it seemed like the carousel to start, didn't really affect too much. Felt like we kind of had to hold it tighter, so it set up for a little bit better passing in a 6. But yeah, into turn 1, it affected mainly just all the restart stuff. It felt like we were all tighter, closer together. Didn't have all the runoff to use, so we were side by side and door slamming each other, and it definitely caused for more exciting racing. So I don't know if we like it as much on our part, but if I was watching on TV, it would definitely be more enjoyable. But yeah, today's a not so beautiful day. It's rainy and wet and cold. I'm cold in my race suit, so I'm sure everybody else is too. But yeah, looking forward to today. We got Wix air filters on the car and my Toyota Supra. I'm excited to get out there, and whether it's in the rain or the dry, I think we'll have a good piece.
I think you and Connor and SVG are the 3 that everybody has circled as you know, the cars to beat today. You haven't raced as much against SVG, but you've raced a lot against Connor growing up. What do you know about him, and how do you apply that to try to beat him today?
Yeah, we've raced each other since we were 7 or 8 years old, and we haven't changed too much. Just we work a little bit harder now, but we still have similar racecraft as we did as little kids. So I'm sure we know all each other's little flaws, and I'm sure we're going to do whatever it takes to apply that today.
Yeah, going to be a lot of fun to watch all 3 of those guys go to battle later on today. Thanks, Brent. Let's go to Kim.
And Dylan, Connor was in yesterday's truck race. In fact, you are doing triple duty this weekend. You'll be in today's O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race, tomorrow's Cup race. But as we think about the trucks yesterday and what you were able to learn about the track before getting in the O'Reilly car, track limits, the restart zone, I know you had an opinion about that. What were your takeaways and things that you can add to today to help you out?
Yeah, I mean, I think I just learned what works at the front on the restarts with the new restart zone. And, you know, obviously I've been to this track quite a bit. The barriers don't change a ton. You got to be a little careful on restarts not to get yourself in trouble with those tire packs. But, yeah, overall I'm excited to have Jockey on the car with JRM and be back at one of my favorite tracks and go for 3 in a row here.
As you look about practice and qualifying, you know, NASCAR's still trying to decide what they're going to do. The weather looks better, but it's still a little stale out here, I'd call it. What is your ideal situation in terms of what you want to see out of practice and qualifying, whether we're on wets, whether we have the opportunity to go slicks? What's your ideal scenario?
Well, ideal, you know, if I was the 88 car, I'd say I hope it rains and we all wash out and we start on the pole. But for me, I'm going to start 17th if it rains out. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't see a reason why we can't qualify. Hopefully a lot of guys go out and practice and help dry the track, so it makes an easier call for NASCAR to let us go out and qualify. But regardless, you know, we'll figure it out. This team and, you know, the one team always finds a way. So, yeah, hopefully we can get out there and dry it up and get out to qualify.
Connor going for 3 in a row here in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series.
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting listening to those two talk after the way they went at it yesterday. Really good friends, spent a lot of time together. And Jamie, we were talking about this earlier. This is not the first time they've gone toe-to-toe. These guys have been racing together for a long time.
It has, and it wasn't intentionally. You look at these guys just racing for the lead. Got to the outside of turn 2. It's extremely fast section of the racetrack. A little bit of contact with a hole in the one-car nose who had basically kind of dominated the race up to that point. But listen, it's not going to be the last time that they have a conflict, and in all fairness, within the next 6 hours, we might see more conflict.
It gets me excited. That's two, you know, amazing young talents right there going toe-to-toe. If you're a fan of NASCAR, I think you're going to get to see that a lot more often here in the coming years and hopefully decades of watching those two. They're both unbelievable on these road courses. Brent Cruz yesterday qualifying the trucks at one point was half a second faster in the field. I mean, that's unbelievable to see that kind of pace and what these two have brought in terms of their preparation and just everything they've done to be ready for this level. I'm excited to watch them.
And the other thing I would add to all that, neither one were racing for points yesterday.
Yeah.
Brent Cruz is today. An enormous amount on the line for
But I
him.
bet he's going for the trophy.
So how do you manage things? We'll find out. And we do hope they get on track soon, because regardless, with this talent, it will be entertaining.
5 to 10 minutes support. Understandable. At 10-4. Y'all got me on 2. Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Is that the Panda?
Yes, sir, Big Daddy.
I can't wait. I talked to Hayden Reeves about some of. I have to report back to him on some of the comments this week.
Yeah, we're not going to get that crazy, but we might have some good ones.
You can never say that. 30 seconds into practice, you'll already be on it.
Just one check. We're going to wait it out. All our teammates put rain tires on, but we will not run in the rain.
Up here shivering just in case.
Track stamp like this.
About a gentleman.
All right, buddy, let's have a good day. Fight hard, man. And let's drive this damn thing to the front. Put on a show, kid. Let's just go get that cowboy hat. Like we said, you can't stop a hungry gator.
3, 2, 1. Green flag, green flag.
Oh, Taylor Gray sideways. Here we go. Opening lap, we've got a crash.
It's not like someone just drove it, no left rear. If it's a 9, then he's got one coming.
That's
That's
my
the
job.
second time he's done that.
Go hard. The pace car's right behind you.
Close call. Oh, boy.
Oh, no.
Oh my gosh.
42 is a idiot. 3 minutes here, guys.
3 minutes till practice.
Most of these guys around us have got wet. Yeah, I believe that they declared it wet weather. I think we have to run wets. We'll definitely be able to see if it starts drying, for sure.
10-4, well, just keep me up to date on that.
Copy.
Copy. I mean, they could push it back if they cancel qualifying, right? But that could be a chance. Yeah.
Close last weekend into your first Texas win. As the week progresses leading into Watkins Glen, how much do you let yourself kind of sit in that disappointment before you move on?
Oh, it was over by the time we got on the plane to go back home.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I could have done some things differently right there. I still feel like it was the best move for Junior Motorsports. I mean, you obviously can watch Radioactive and see what the comments are. You know, I think that it comes down to self-preservation, right? You know, we had an issue at the tire test a couple weeks ago in Chicago. Really, as a whole at Junior Motorsports, I mean, I don't think a lot of the fans at home realize how tight this schedule is, and just parts and pieces and cars, and how difficult it is to keep the cars on the road every week. And I want to win at Texas more than anything, but I knew that the next option was to have contact, and unfortunately that probably wrecks a race car. So I hate it. I hate it for our guys. Obviously Junior Motorsports 1-2 is a great day, but just frustrating to be that good and to not have anything to show for it. So, you know, we'll come here to Watkins Glen, another place where we can have some damage and have good race cars also. So, you know, we'll see what happens. But been watching a lot of the races this weekend just to see how it goes and see what we can do on this tricky road course.
All right, let's talk Watkins Glen because there's some giants in the field. How do you not let that keep you from thinking you can come here and win, having SVG and Connor, and I'll even throw Brent Cruz in the mix, even though he's a rookie?
Yeah, I mean, look, they're great at it, right? There's no question. We've you know, done a really good job, I feel like. Andrew Overstreet and this whole 7 team all year, we've amassed a ton of points, and I just feel like we show up at the racetrack every week with a car that's capable of running up front, and that's really what it comes down to. I mean, we've qualified well here the last couple of years, we've raced well here the last couple of years, so I have no doubt that we can go out there and have a good solid day and race with these guys. We saw it yesterday. I mean, Caden, super proud of him. That was cool to see him get his first win here. I laughed because he said, I never expected to win on a road course, so that was pretty cool. But, you know, he was able to beat those guys. And I think that, look, they're going to be great today. They're going to be hard to beat. We just got to go out there and execute all day, and we'll be there at the end, and who knows what can happen. Especially with all the changes that we've made to the track here, who knows what can happen.
That's points leader Justin Allgaier.
179 stage points for Allgaier. It is ridiculous how they have delivered this year. Got another stage win last week. You saw it there on the graphic. Came up short at Texas, was second to Larson. We're going to open the track here. NASCAR has deemed the track in a wet condition, so you have to make sure you got all that wet weather equipment, the wiper and all that stuff is set up and ready to go. But you can use whatever tire you want. And here's the equipment that is required anytime we're in a wet weather situation. You got to have the wiper, the upper and lower rain lights, then the rain flaps, and the defogger.
I think just judging from what I see around the track, you're absolutely going to want to be on wets right now.
No doubt.
You would not be venturing out there on slicks. Some of these cars might just use, you know, for Corey Day, first time here in an O'Reilly car, just see the track a little bit, get some laps, that sort of thing. So I think that's for some of these cars right now. And then if you're more experienced, you know, you might want to see if some of these cars on wets could start to cause a dry line, that sort of thing, and then wait to maybe go out eventually on slicks.
No word yet on what will happen with qualifying. It's kind of a wait-and-see mode for everyone at NASCAR to see what happens with the track. And it's not unprecedented that we can go out and compete in the rain. We saw it August 2008, Montreal. Watkins Glen had it 2018.
Monsoon race there. So wet. Look at that. Just visibility, none.
You hate it for the teams, but it's entertaining
This was
to watch.
interesting.
Yes.
We did New Hampshire on wets. I was in this one. That was a very unusual experience, but I was so excited to see that happen because I always felt like NASCAR could find a way to put these cars on wets on an oval and to experience that in New Hampshire, and now how it's become more of a thing. I'd love to see, because I think one of the most disappointing things we can have is when we're at a track and we can't put race cars on the track.
Racing in the rain is a lot of fun. I think almost every driver enjoys getting to do it. It's just the visibility is what's stressful. And you know, if you're in the lead, it's not a big deal. But you see those cars that are 4 or 5 rows back, you're just driving with your eyes closed, and that's where it becomes an issue. And you know, where the drivers struggle is just the visibility and being able to see.
What's going on, Kim?
Yeah, you see Corey Day out there, one of the first cars to take the track. That's by design. Talked with crew chief Adam Wall earlier today, and he said, look, we're going to get him out there as soon as possible because we rarely get the opportunity to practice in these conditions. Oftentimes, the race will start, then we'll have to put on wet weather tires and try and make our way through it. So he wanted as much experience for Corey as possible in these conditions. And he said, look, we're not going out here to set fast lap. We're going out here to learn and to fill our notebooks. This is the first start in any series for Corey at Watkins Glen.
And I think that's super smart, right? You get such rare opportunities to experience wet weather where it doesn't really matter, to their point. You know, if it happens, sometimes it's in a race and, you know, there's a lot on the line and suddenly you're trying to figure this out. And for him to get this chance to be on wet weather tires on a wet racetrack where you do drive it differently, although he is using the normal line. If you were trying to go fast right now and he's just trying to figure this place out, you would be using some of the outside of the racetrack. You'd be getting away from the normal line because there's more grip on the outside. The asphalt has more aggregate. And so you'd be, you know, just learning the nuances of driving in the wet. It is different in a lot of ways than the dry, but you get so few chances to experience it.
We're going to get 50 minutes, but we're going to need more than 2 cars to dry it out.
Yeah.
54 degrees and overcast here today. You can see it's just extremely slick. The cold temps. It's going to take a while to dry this out. We're going to have more cars on the track if we're going to get this to, look at that thing, just sketchy.
You see those blinky lights on the bottom, Jamie?
That's the rear.
Yeah,
that's the lower lights.
Yeah, the lower lights. You were asking. Yeah.
One thing NASCAR can do here, and like I said, we have not heard how they will handle qualifying. Here's the good news. If qualifying is to be washed out, because NASCAR, you know, most likely is not going to qualify in a wet, true wet condition. If qualifying's washed out, 38 cars here, so everybody's going to make the show. Nobody is going to go home and be a victim of the weather game. But, you know, the plan is always to go 2 groups of 20. And two groups rather in 20 minutes each. What you can do, and NASCAR has done this, and we saw it yesterday, put everybody into one group, and that really helps balance the fairness, because if you go 2 groups 20 minutes, the second group going to have different conditions than the first group, and it really makes it challenging to level the playing field when it comes to qualifying. So that's something to keep in mind that we could see later, and we'll wait and keep eyes on how NASCAR is going to handle everything if we do get qualifying in.
And to that point, you know, I think if there were more than 38 cars here, we'd absolutely be qualifying today, right? But if, you know, we were discussing this earlier as to why, you know, if everyone's in the show, probably not worth risking in a low grip scenario, wet, you know, situation to go out there and qualify, risking these teams damaging cars in a short turnaround time toward the race later today. Maybe, you know, save them from themselves slightly and say, hey, we're not going to qualify. You're all in the show anyway.
I tell you what, if it does start to dry out, though, and we get to qualify, the conditions of kind of wet, kind of dry, on slicks, it's the most challenging conditions as a driver that you can face. And to me, it really shows the risk takers and the ability of these guys to manage the amount of grip level that's out there. And as you look at those curbs, as it starts to dry out, you have to be really careful. Those curbs will hold water. There's little grooves in them. And when you drive across that, the paint, it's extremely slick. There's a lot of grip on the curbs when it's dry, and there's absolutely no grip on those curbs when it's wet. So that's really hard as a driver to manage that.
I enjoy working races with you guys when it's a road course or a drafting event, because you two were both so good at it. And Watkins Glen is fun.
Yes, would be one group, but you said the key word if. If you start to see the lane, you know, the right side tire lane down the front starting to dry, that's all that was dry yesterday, and they made us go for 30 minutes for qualifying. So they don't need much down the front.
Qualify on wet?
We were dry yesterday because of that one lane. On. So maybe that's the play. I don't know. But yesterday they had ARCA and then went right to trucks.
I got a copy.
I gotcha.
10-4.
Trying to be risky. Some more pace in the braking zones for sure. Car handled fine. I just didn't want to lock it up and get us in trouble for no reason there. So just learning.
Yeah, 10-4. You're quick time by 2 seconds right now.
Yeah, copy. I think he's just not done it before. I don't know that it's the best lap in the world, but
Yep, 10-4.
Definitely the curbs look really slick. Track's not horrible. No Angels over here in about an hour.
People listen.
Pretty
He
cold up there with
suggested
that
if we're
wind,
going to
huh?
dry the track out,
Yep.
we're going to need more than 2 cars. Saw Taylor Gray and Connor Zillich, who we've chronicled as one of the best in the business, one of the last 2 races here. He's got that 1 car out there making laps in the wet at Watkins
He
Glen.
answered the call.
When I said more cars, I didn't mean 2 more. Like 34 more.
Hey, you can't be greedy, all right?
We got
Yeah, stay
five
delivered.
total. We got to get down there and get those guys out.
Will Rogers, another one of those that is taken to the track here at the Glen.
And to put into context the current speed on the track, as you see Connor just wiggling down in the brake zone at turn 1 there. We're about 16 seconds off the track record of this place. So we are seriously on a slick racetrack, lacking a lot of grip. I know most of these guys are not pushing very hard, considering they probably don't think we're going to be running in the wet.
Connor's getting after it a little bit here.
Yeah. See where he brakes here. See how he's not fully to the left. That's just hedging the bed a little bit to get some cleaner racetrack. You will go over the curbs if you're going straight. You won't have the wheel straight off the brake.
I appreciate you clarifying that because I was like, I just said stay off the curb.
No, but you can do it.
Yeah.
You just got to be straight. And
That's
you
right.
see here how wide he is. That's where all the grip is. It's where you don't run normally, where the track has gotten almost like slickened off by the rubber. As you see Corey Day doing some extracurricular activity into an area that we used to run.
I'm just happy the car's clean after running down around those tire barriers. And hey, if you go down there today, and we talked about this earlier, but if you get outside those tire barriers and you gain time or you gain position, you will owe NASCAR a stop and go at the bus stop. So anytime you put in track limits, there's a price to pay if you manipulate those. And
here he is, just
there we
missed
go.
the chance to slow down. We went way out.
One thing that I like about the way NASCAR did this, though, in turn 1 versus off the carousel is it gave you some bailout points. You're going to have a lot of guys, run wide there on restarts. It gives you a place that you're not going to tear your car up. Let's hear what Corey Day had to say about that.
I don't really feel like we're doing much to dry it. Yeah, we need way more cars.
Well, they've been listening to you.
Yeah, well, we agree,
McMurray.
Corey. It's going to take a little while. Then you can see the rooster tails off the carousel. The track's really wet right there. It also looked like right after the S's, the track was pretty wet. But the front stretch, I didn't see much mist come off there. If we can get some cars on the track, might be able to get it dry enough to go do something here in a little bit.
Can you deliver that message to Sam Mayer, Kim, that we'd like him to get on track so that we can get the track dry?
I will try, Adam. So Jamie keeps harping that we need to see more cars on the track if we want it to dry out. So big question, why aren't you out there? What's the plan?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we really don't know what the plan is, Jamie. But, yeah, this place is a lot of fun in the wet. It's been a long time since I've run here in the wet, so I'm just going to kind of wait for it to dry out a little bit because my UNC status in the series, I don't feel like making any mistakes out there. But, yeah, we're going to go out at some point, just get a couple laps, just get a feel for the car, make sure everything is right. These Haas Factory boys make really good decisions, do a really good job during the week. So we kind of trust the process more than anything, but yeah, the Audubon Chevy is going to be good. It's just a matter of when we get out there.
This has been a good place for you. You won here in 2023, but the field just keeps getting better and better when it comes to road courses. So how have you kind of answered that call and made sure you're showing up with something maybe different?
Yeah, the ceiling always gets higher. Like, you got Zillits, SUG, Brent's really good. So you got these guys that really kind of make you elevate your game a little bit. So I've worked a lot this offseason to get even better. I feel like the program that we have here at Haas Factory Team has gotten better as well. So hopefully we've closed the gap a little bit. COTA was a really good showing for us. We just didn't get the finish we quite deserved. But yeah, super excited to get out there, see what we can do, and hopefully all the training I've put in to practice I can do well.
4 of Sam's 8 O'Reilly Auto Parts Series wins have come on road courses, Dylan.
And Kim, another good road course racer as of late has been Austin Hill. Ran well at COTA, ran well here last year. What have you found in improving your road course prowess that you feel like will maybe help you again this weekend?
For me, just really focusing on the entry brake zones. That's an area that I kind of struggled with over the years, and I knew I needed to be better at. We always have seemed to have a fast bit of Chevrolet when we come to these road courses, but just being able to get in deep into turn 1 with a lot of brake pressure, I think that's kind of what sets some of these guys apart, and I feel like I did a really good job of that last year and had a shot at winning the race, at least put ourselves in position. It just didn't work out. So out of all the road courses that we go to, this is probably the one that's at the top of my list of having a ton of confidence at. So maybe we can finally check that box. I've ran 2nd to 5th enough on these road courses. Maybe we can check that box today. We'll see.
Today, as we watch more cars, kind of start to go out on the racetrack, and the track, in theory, starts to dry, when's kind of the tipping point of when you want to get out there to try to feel the racetrack out before we hopefully go qualify later?
I would say just watching it here, once you start seeing the track get that light coloring to it, that'll probably be an indication that grip's starting to get up and is starting to get dry. So we're closely monitoring that. I kind of wish it was just going to rain all day today. I love racing in the rain, so I'd have been cool with that. But, knowing that it's more than likely going to be dry for the race, there's just really no reason for us to go out there right now. So that's why we're just sitting here, and everyone's kind of in a standoff right now on who's going to go and who's not.
Thanks, Austin.
Can I just go back to something Sam Mayer said? He said Steps of here, which is a Gen Z term. He's 22 years old. That's not possible. Status is supposed to be like you're older, that sort of thing. As we look at an 18-year-old here going through the bus stop. See, that's all right, Jamie. So if you're not straight when you hit the rumble strips and it's wet, that is the reaction that you'll get out of the race car, which is sideways.
Yeah, a little bit slick through there. It's fun to watch. Connor and Brent, they keep one-upping each other every time they cross the start-finish line, pushing it harder and harder. Hopefully we get these guys to run that kind of pace. It's going to dry out. You see still a little bit wet right there. The whole track's still wet, but when you don't see the moisture coming up, it's a good sign that it's going to start to dry out. The one struggle they're going to have is we watch the 19 exit the bus stop. You see, they're running this rain line through the carousel. That's not the line you're going to want to run if it's if you put the slicks on and it starts to dry out.
Austin Green on track in the 87. Will be easy to find him today. He's a really good road racer. When you look at his history, all but one of his career top 10s have been on the road. The only time he finished top 10 on an oval a couple of weeks ago at Talladega. 7th and 11th, and a couple of trips here to Watkins Glen. GovX on board down the front straightaway toward turn 1.
Saw him immediately look in the mirror when he exited, just to see like what's my gap behind. Was the car behind starting to catch?
So a couple things
behind him is nothing right now, but it will be the 17. He just rolled out off of pit road.
In the wet, when you're trying to figure out the grip level, you see his hands. He kind of does these sort of jabs the steering wheel right at the apex, and that's just sort of checking what is the grip level, what's my grip level. That's what you use as an indicator in the wet as to how much grip there is. And what's the reason you do that is because you just don't know. You're trying to just find the limit of the tire without having set too much speed in the corner, and then you end up off the racetrack. You'll do the same with the brake, with the throttle. Your inputs are far more almost refined and a little bit more dull than they would be in the dry, because you just don't have the grip in the race car. So you're almost teasing and sort of just sort of playing with the race car to understand what do I have, what I don't have. As Connor Zilic slips by, and you can see the amount of spray coming off Zilic. That's an indication that we're not quite at any sort of slick tire.
Well, that was the section of the track when we were, from the outside, you could see the massive rooster tail come off. You see he's got his wiper on. I'm surprised he's using that because that thing is useless.
It's useless.
It always just makes it worse. Yes. Yeah, it's like being in your car and having no fluid, and you just put the wiper on.
He shut it off. He goes, wait a second, that thing's terrible.
But look where it shut off. I mean,
that won't bother you. That won't bother you as bad as it. When it's the problem is, it's a nice thought, but it literally does nothing to remove the water. And if you get any sort of dirt or grime, it just smears it across the front of the windshield, and you're like, well, that was not a help at all.
Practice underway, and I would put practice in the air quotes because it's more like, let's just log some laps, see what's going on track-wise. Cruz is the fastest of those guys that have been out.
They're showing the onboard of the 87, and it looked like going from carousel to 10. It looked like he was getting a lot of rain on his windshield, so I wasn't sure.
Nine or 78 or so, then it's not ready for slicks.
But yeah, one is still pretty wet. 53 just buried it off in there and almost spun it out. 17 just completely missed it again. So still kind of wet down through here. Out of these practice. Yeah, 10-4. If everybody rolled right now, the last 10 minutes of practice, you could go to slicks. I mean, we're not that far away from slicks right now, honestly.
Copy that. Yeah, well, we're watching a couple of the in-car cameras with the CW. As soon as they get someone behind, I mean, the windshield just completely wet. I think it's still pretty humid out there.
Yeah, I think the number is like, if they run a 1, probably 18, it's ready for slicks, 119. So they still got to pick up 3 seconds, but like I can see the difference in the line down the front stretch right here. And it won't take long, with this wind. But I mean, obviously, it's safe to fire off on the reins for now until we see a dry line.
Yeah, beautiful. We still probably go out on wets right now just to, like I said, shake it down and be safe.
Year second on the road. Coverage begins on CW at 3:30 Eastern Time. Carla Metz leading us with NASCAR Countdown Live. And more cars starting to take to the track, and reports are that drivers are getting in their cars in the pit lane, so the track is going to get busier and busier as the time winds down. Here's the 91 Carson Kvapil, balancing 3 different cars this year and making his second start of 2026 under the DGM umbrella. If you go back to COTA, did a pretty good job driving this 91 there in the first road course race of the year.
He was really impressive in this car, and obviously it's a partnership with Junior Motorsports in terms of preparation of the car, so it's not like he's in completely foreign equipment, but it is, DGM's crews and pit crews and that sort of thing on there. So it was a great job at COTA, and as I'm looking at the track here, we're starting to see a little less spray, but it is just so cold. And as we go on board here, Austin Green, we're going to see how little grip there is. He's going to lock the rears. That's wheel hop. He shoves it into neutral, then puts it back into second, gets it under control, and drives away. But that is to show you just how little grip there is. He's not even braking probably at 50% of the braking potential you would use in the dry and locking the rear so easily.
You bring up a great point. Hard to dry the track when it's this cold. And we will set the record today. Going to be the coldest race ever for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series at Watkins Glen. This is the earliest we've ever held a race in the calendar year. But I will tell you, it's already been announced this week. 2027, we're going to be racing in the chase. So that's an awesome thing when you think about where this race will fit into the schedule a year from now. And look at this, Shane Van Gisbergen.
Well, everybody's going to have to go out and run.
Yeah.
You're going to need, you just want to make sure that your car, that all the brakes all feel good. You don't want to start the race if we don't get to qualify and not have run any laps. So everybody at some point is going to need to go out there and at least get a feel for their car. And hopefully if we can get enough of them on the track, it'll start to, we don't have to get the whole track dry. We can have a couple of those sections on the straightaway that still are spraying some mist. If we can get most of the corners just dry enough that they can run, it would be great if we can get that transition on the slicks. You see that section right there, that's not going to dry before qualifying. That's going to be wet most of the time.
Hang on.
It's going to be really fun to watch.
Let's get a word with Anthony Alfredo down to Dillon.
We're down here reminiscing about the time that Anthony qualified on the pole at Portland, and it was similar conditions to this. The track was damp, but it was a rainy weekend. I'm surprised you're not out there showing everybody how it's done.
Well, we wanted to dry out a little bit more, you know. Obviously, the more cars that go, it'll help form a dry lane, but we don't really want to contribute to that. We're going to race later, and it's supposed to be nice and no rain, so you're not going to learn a whole lot, but obviously if we think we're going to qualify in these conditions, we do need to get out there, make a lap, get some heat in the brakes, and shake the car down. So we'll probably end up doing that at the end, but right now it's still not where we'd like it to be. I will say I was fortunate at that time when we had two groups of qualifying. Now they keep it fair. If the track state is changing or evolving, they go to one group for qualifying so that everyone's on the same track state. So we'll see if we get to that point today. If we do, I'll be interested to see if we qualify on wets or if there's a dry line and they let us all run slicks. So that's a decision NASCAR is going to have to make, but I think they're still waiting just to see where this track goes currently.
What is it like when you're out there in those conditions where theoretically every lap is different, right? And as the track is drying, how challenging is that to try to figure out where the limit is?
I haven't figured it out yet. I haven't done it enough. I raced in that monsoon at COTA a few years back, and I was just learning how to race in the rain, but I would say when the track state's changing is the toughest, and that's in both directions. As it starts raining harder and harder, every lap you come around, there's standing water where there wasn't before, or water running across the track. And when it starts to dry out, obviously you could push a little here, push a little there, but it's really easy to overstep it. So I'd say the biggest thing is making that call from the driver's seat of when you're ready for slicks or not. And that's what the road course bringers know how to do the best. So I don't think we're going to have that later, obviously, but currently it just seems like this track's getting faster and faster as it dries out.
Yeah, good stuff. Thanks, Anthony. A lot to balance for these guys down here behind the wheel today.
I'd encourage you to go to his socials. He does a great job. I saw on Instagram this week of getting on his iRacing rig and kind of breaking down a lap at some of the tracks. He did a really good job for Watkins Glen. I like listening to what he has to say. He's a really sharp guy.
He is very, very intelligent. Student of the game, brings a lot, and Viking Motorsports having a really good beginning to 2026.
You want the torch?
Tails coming out of the back of these cars down the front. I would just get a feel for it, you know what I mean?
No, exactly. Nothing to really gain here, especially if it dries out.
No, this is just a high-speed leak test, you know what I mean? Just to make sure we ain't got nothing going on. Still braking at the 500, 450 mark on the front, you know what I mean? Not really getting aggressive down into turn one.
Copy.
Good job. Good job, Johnny, back here.
Get past. Yeah, no. Oh, we got a race. On the track? Yeah, I don't have I mean, I can get my iPad out, but I don't think you're going to go that fast to really matter, but you're clear whenever they're done. Last one, you either want to be fully on it or fully off of it, don't straddle it. Carousel, you can start a lane up with like a pull down. There are guys starting to use the normal line in the carousel now. Online braking 6, no curb usage. 7 guys are not getting all the way back left for entry and just hedging middle, and then running like a half lane up through 7. No curb on exit. All right, I gotcha. 17 start finish now. You'll have one more off 7. We'll let him go. It's going to be the 92. Then you're clear all the way back to exit of the carousel. There's the 92. I'll get to roll. Nothing coming.
Now, next one's not even to 6 yet.
Preparing for later on in case we were to be racing in the wet, and also trying to get this track dried out so we can get in a good place to go out and qualify. Just don't anticipate that NASCAR is going to put them out there in the wet to qualify with 38 cars here and everybody making the show. 42 in the race this weekend. Will Rogers, don't see him a lot. Did a nice job last summer at Sonoma. He's a full-time spotter on the Cup side for Eric Jones. And right behind him, what a beginning to 2026 for Sheldon Creed. Got the win at Echo Park Speedway in Atlanta, but across the board, this team is just performing at a very high level. Best average finish through 12 races and a lot of career best numbers for the driver from California.
Look how dry it was down into turn 1. Look at the dry line forming there.
We got a chance.
We got a little bit of a chance here.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, being downhill, that helps in terms of the drying as the water sort of sheds away down the hill. There's other pockets where you're not quite in such an advantageous position like the backstretch to have the water escape. But
I don't see spray. Not near as much spray though in the back.
It's happening.
I think it's happening. It's transitioning.
They're going to be searching for water here soon on these wet tires, because that's another thing. Once it gets a little too dry, you chunk those soft, wet tires, and they lose all their grip because they have these blocks on them that once they lose the edges on those blocks, they lose their effectiveness.
Well, and to put in perspective what the track's done, Corey Day's picked up 3 seconds. And on this run versus his last run out, actually is the quickest car on the track. As Creed now picks up, gosh, another 3 or 4 tenths. So yeah, the track it's transitioning quickly right here.
Creed just went to the top because he went by the alternate start-finish line. That's something we'll talk about if, in fact, we do go qualifying later on. Let's go back down to Kim.
Yeah, Ross Chastain back in the Jordan Anderson racing car for this weekend. You also ran the truck race last night, and I know there was some confusion on a couple things, restart specifically. Do you have enough information from yesterday to walk in today being confident about the choices you make on the racetrack?
I was confident yesterday, Kim. I just flat messed up. So, yeah, very humbling experience to go and execute through the weekend like we did, and then to just absolutely go early. No excuse on my side. So for Phil Gould and that Protector Mellon team, that's unacceptable. And then to tear the truck up for 20th after the fact, just a brand new purpose-built road course truck. Had a couple of them here from the Nice team. So definitely humbling walking out here, but yeah, plenty of confidence. I knew what was happening. I just messed up.
All right, you're not in the race car, haven't been in the race car. Are you going to get in the race car with the 19-ish minutes left in practice?
Yes, eventually.
Okay.
It's very easy to stand out here and be confident about how fast you can go, and I think the track's drying quickly now with more cars, but I cannot put into words how slick it was to start, like when the 17 and 26 went out at the start. Like, it's indescribable how slick that was. So I will gladly let everybody go. I had more grip in the TMT gravel quarry whenever I was there a few weeks ago than they had at the start of this practice. So for Jordan Anderson and this Jar team, yeah, we're patient. We'll wait.
Can you put it in layman's terms? So the average driver that's watching, just the average person that drives their personal car, what's a situation that might feel similar? Like a hydroplane?
Ice.
Ice?
It's like ice on summer tires, or ice when you don't have Goodyears on your car.
All right, there you have it. Thank you, Austin.
What a plug.
What are summer tires?
Well, there's summer tires and winter tires.
My tires are the same all year long.
Yeah, because you live in North Carolina.
Summer
Jamie.
tires.
We don't change them out of my
You're
place.
from Missouri. But
and there's
up in the Northeast, we have all sorts of tires.
Huh. There's that alternate start-finish line between 5 and 6. SVG just went to the top, and here he is at the restart zone as you enter turn 7 and make the right-hand turn back to the start-finish line. So let's follow up on Kim's conversation with Ross and go through. I mean, one, here's the imaging from yesterday to today. They've updated things and added some paint to make sure that it's easy to see. But I want you guys to kind of walk us through what we saw yesterday and maybe some of the visuals that create a challenge for these drivers when you're coming to that restart zone.
Well, they've made those lines just a little bit wider. As you look right here, these two sets of lines here, they've made them just a little bit wider than what they had yesterday. You know what? Here's the thing. With what happened,
does it look that much different?
Well, I would
I
tell
think
you,
this is spot the difference.
I would have found another can of paint, I believe. Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, what they're trying to do is with the orange here. This is the most important thing, I feel like, for the drivers to know that they're actually in the restart zone, or what you have on the outside wall on the inside. Yesterday, it seemed like drivers felt like this wasn't clear. It was, you know, as they've moved this restart zone back towards turn 6. It just wasn't very clear for them as to where the restart zone really was. They even added like this little bit here of highlighter, you know, green to try and help out. So I don't know. That looks better to me at least.
Well, and I mean, to me, I don't agree with the call that they did on Gio yesterday. I for years, for as long as I can remember, everybody would go just a little bit early before that restart line. That's the advantage you have, and I think you should have an advantage if you're the leader. But the timing of Butterbean hitting him and then him accelerating, he got that penalty. Now in Ross's case, Ross took off two counties before they got to the start-finish line, so that was a little bit different, and he knew that. So two totally different situations, but based on what we saw yesterday in the truck race, these guys are going to have watched that. I don't sense we're going to see an issue again today.
This is cool on board here. Sammy Smith getting to see his footwork. There's a lot of that around a road course.
Well, especially when it's wet like this, you see him modulating both pedals. Then as soon as you feel like you can get to some grip, you see him go full throttle, no problem accelerating up through the gears once you get on the straightaway.
And then you see the braking here. He's going to stay on that brake a long period of time. Oh, I think we're slowing down. I think we're quitting on this lap. That's why.
He jumped up to 6th there.
Might want to pick up the pace there.
Yeah,
so
I was like, hey, buddy, that's a long period of time to be on the brake. That's going to be a problem.
You know, it's interesting, though. He changed crew chiefs in the offseason, and Corey Shea, who was the signal caller for the 9 last year, went over to the 8, becomes a full-time crew chief. First time in his career he's been full-time in that role. But if you think about where the 9 ran last year, a lot of time on road courses, and they enjoyed a lot of success. Wins with SVG, Daniel Suarez, and now I'm not saying that Corey's more well-suited to go have success on the road, but it's nice to have a guy on the pit box that has been able to go out and get it done like he did last year.
Definitely, but personally, I feel like these tracks can be very heavily dependent on the driver. There's only so many knobs the crew chiefs can turn on these race cars. What's that?
I said, you're crushing my story here.
No, but what I'm saying is there's just so few knobs they can turn. At some point, it's just down to basically what rear spring you choose, and then it's up to the driver to extract speed out of these. Let's take a listen to the 9's radio.
Yeah, it's going to dry very quick. All good. I'm a little bit left-hand down on my steering. If I could adjust that, that would be nice, please.
Okay, copy that. We'll do it.
It almost might be ready for slicks at the end.
That's a good sign. That's what we want to hear. Yeah.
And to reference the left hand down on his steering, what he's talking about is essentially when you put the wheel on the spline on road courses, sometimes what happens is the wheel at center can almost be a little to the left or a little to the right in terms of where that mark is, the orange mark on the wheel. And it's because of the way the front ends are set up in these race cars, the team can actually adjust that spline technically a little bit and try to center up so that your wheel feels straight when you're driving straight.
Look down at our bumper. This guy, William Sawalich, went to 4th. Zilic jumped to 3rd. Preston Pardis was inside the top 5. He's now 6th. Brett Cruz quickest right now.
Think still.
Line-wise. And I'm going to drop you this T-dub right here.
I come in quick now. You might go slicks before the end of this thing.
See people put dries on.
Yeah, I think overall we're not ready for slicks. It's still damp tires, but it's going that direction until we get some more rain.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like the full load area right there is definitely starting to get dry.
Even pit road's starting to dry a little bit, and there's not been much traffic.
Copy.
From your seat. I mean, yeah, it's starting to, like turn 1, I would say center off pretty dry. The S's are starting to. The bus stop, I feel like has decent grip, but isn't like a clear dry line yet. And then like the back stretch is starting to.
Here at the same time. Copy that, and Tyler's going to check that, make sure we have the oil pump belly and all that stuff on the motor.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys can see it on the video. It happened twice heading into the last corner, maybe down the front too. It like jumped out of gear, but not actually out of gear, and it's not making RPM at the same time. So I don't know if it's necessarily
point in that direction based on what we see in the track, the speeds that these drivers are putting up, and the comments that we've heard on the radio from all these teams about what they're seeing. So we feel like that could happen. In the meantime, go out and get in as many laps as you can. Brandon Jones is on track, so is 41 of Sam Mayer. Kim talked to him earlier. Really, really good road racer.
He is, and he's one of the first I've seen actually running the preferred line that you would in the dry through the carousel. Everyone else I've seen is actually way outside what would be the rain line. This is probably the wettest part of the track, just through off the carousel down towards turn 6. Look at that slide. Sam Mayer locked up the rears on the braking, gets it down the apex, but that's probably one of the wettest spots, and the rest of it seems to definitely be showing a dry line, but SVG said slicks by the end of practice. I don't know, I'm pretty optimistic. Now look at this. They're searching for water down the front stretch. That's an indication that you're trying to cool those wet tires. So this is one of those situations where it's the toughest.
Right here.
Yeah, turn 1 is by far the driest section. It's completely dry right there between turns 1 and 2. This really fast section of the S's. You can still see, yeah, it's getting really dry up through that section. This right here, though, is where we saw quite a bit of spray earlier on the exit. Yeah, he's searching for water again right there. So really the wettest section, probably the exit of the carousel, but I'm with him. We'll be on dries by the time qualifying starts. It'll just be a treacherous lap. You do not want to put a wheel an inch wrong if this is what we're going to qualify in, because you will pay a massive penalty and price for missing the driest line.
Mayer is 8th, Brent Cruz P1 right now.
The track's just getting faster and faster, like a lot. That was a big pickup there at the end. It's time for dries. It was getting really tight there, too. Yeah, it's a 4. That's what typically happens with these tires when it gets dry. They go to junk.
But we're within, we think, 9 seconds of what we're going to run, probably for a pole time right here on the wet tires. That gives you an idea of how dry the track is. Dylan, what do you have on the 19?
Well, I thought it was interesting. You know, earlier Brent had a specific request for something that they changed on that car, and that was a smaller steering wheel. So, Parker, I think you said it was he had a 14-inch steering wheel on. They went to a 13-inch steering wheel, which basically just allows his movements inside the car to be smaller while also keeping the steering wheel straight. So I've driven one stock car in my entire life, and I don't know how big of a change making a steering wheel smaller really is, but I just thought it was interesting that for somebody of his age and his experience level in these cars, that was what he requested, and he knew that would make a difference, and clearly it's worked. He's gone back to the top of the board, but just really impressive again from Brent Cruz as he continues to show what he's capable of behind the wheel of the 19 car.
Dylan, that is fascinating because personally, I've always run the 13-inch. It's basically the smallest wheel you run in a stock car.
You ran that on an oval too?
No, just on the road courses.
Oh, I was
just road
that's
courses.
what I was just curious. Like, if
because it's personal preference.
Yeah,
it's
like,
entirely personal preference. Now there are teams. Now that is a wheel for going through tech, by the way. You will never drive
that's
that.
off of John Deere.
That is for the
Yes.
teams because we run such small wheels these days. The teams have these tech wheels to help turn the car while pushing it through the garage. But the reason I find that fascinating is it is personal preference on the wheel, and Zilich getting a lot of curb right here. Look at all that. Wow. That is just how basically
violent,
brutal those curbs are.
Splitter going over those curves.
That much movement goes to the car. But I just find that interesting that they would even not have anything but a 13-inch, especially considering Brett's background in karting and all those road course racing he's done. The only thing it would tell me is occasionally teams, well, they want to run different steering boxes, that sort of thing, will try different size steering wheels in an effort to sort of change some of the front end geometry and that sort of stuff. But I think going to the smaller one is probably the right choice.
First time we've seen the reigning champ on track, Jesse Love, out in the tube making laps. Looking for his first victory of 2026. And was really good on the road earlier this year, Circuit of the Americas, getting his best ever finish on a road course, was 4th in that event.
Really good first lap for Jesse Love. Ran a 1:20.46, just about a second off the pace. First time out on the track, getting a feel for it. It'll be fun to see what he can do right here. Kind of got an idea of what that grip level was, and man, you continue to watch the gray of the track evolve. Keeps getting better and better. I saw the front tires in that car turn as far as they would go in turns 1. They talked about how tight the balance is on these wet tires once the track starts to dry out.
Jesse Love won the ARCA Championship 2023, and en route to that title, he won right here at Watkins Glen. And you know, if you look at the clock, we're showing 6:20 to go, and the schedule coming into the day was 50 minutes of practice and then 2 groups of qualifying 20 minutes apiece. I think we all know if we do qualify, NASCAR is going to go to 1 group to make sure everybody has a fair shot under the same conditions. And I would say the possibility still exists that we add time and just continue with this practice session and not qualify. NASCAR has not decided yet. Jesse Love may very well want to go out and qualify. We saw him flip across that alternate start-finish line, and he goes to the top now.
Yeah, Corey Day as well. See that down in the 118, so getting within 8 seconds of what we think we're going to be if it were completely dry and on slicks.
Hey, we just got word from NASCAR there will be no qualifying today. We're just going to extend the practice session. Yeah, they were in a box here because there's a lot of people that were comfortable where the track was going. There's some guys that are inexperienced that maybe aren't as comfortable. And so NASCAR has said, you know what? We're just going to extend the practice time. We'll practice for another 45 minutes or so, 12:15 Eastern time, and then we'll reset and get ready to race later today. And if you weren't with us earlier, the good news is that you had 38 cars here. Everybody's going to make the show. We're not sending anybody home. This will put Raja Karuth on the pole, but what it also does is it means that SVG and Connor Zilich are going to start outside the top 10. We've now updated our clock, another 41 minutes of practice for everybody.
Man, I get it. I know NASCAR is probably thinking in what their thought process is, you know, if we went to qualifying, the track's going to change so much through the session.
Well, and Alfredo referenced that just a little bit ago.
It's going to be possibly unfair, but damn, I wanted to see some qualifying. This is, you know, as a driver, these kind of conditions, variable conditions, you look forward to this sort of thing, the opportunity to sort of do something special, to display your skills in a, you know, unusual situation. And qualifying to me in the conditions like this, it's just a cool thing, but I get being smarter. I'm just the driver in me would sit here and be like, damn, I want to get.
But you know what? Look at Brent Cruz. He's on a run of top 5 finishes, series regular. So that means he's going to start inside the top 5 because he performed so well at Texas last year. And I referenced that SVG, Connor Zilich are both going to start outside the top 10. You know, typically qualifying is a tremendous setup to what you see in regard to results. And if you look at the numbers here, you know, last 15, 16 races, starting on the front row, starting on the pole is where you need to be. Maybe not going to be the case today because of how spread out some of the best competitors are and where they will start this race. Shane Van Gisbergen leading in practice right now. Connor Zilich 5th on the board and out of the car right now.
like you said, these tires are going to be cooked. Our next option is let it dry out a little bit and go out on dries in just a little while.
Yeah, we can wait a little bit.
Okay, you see all these drivers jumping out. We saw Brent Cruz get out. You see Zillage out. They're going to sit here and wait a little bit, let some of the guys that haven't run on the track, or maybe guys like Jesse Love, who just have minimal, only 3 laps on those rain tires, go out and continue to let it dry. They'll put their slicks on and go out and get a baseline for what that balance is going to be, what they're going to have later today in the race.
Yeah, and I've tasked secretly Dylan or Kim to try and find us a shot of one of these cooked rain tires. I want to show kind of what that means, where basically the rain tire has these blocks on it, and they're very soft rubber, very gummy rubber, almost you can take your fingernail and push them right through. That's what gives you the grip in the rain, but the second it dries out, those tires overheat, they blister immediately, they lose the blocks, and that's what Rodney's talking about when he says they're cooked. Once they get to where they've lost those blocks and they're kind of blistered, they have no grip. There we go. So, all right. You can see sort of the feathering of the rubber here. If you look real close, oh, well, they're rolling it away from us. Hey, guys, stop rolling that thing. What are you guys doing? Hey, you know we're trying to shoot this deal? Come on. All right, so right here you can see kind of, oh, okay, never mind. I was going to use my telestrator, but that's not going to happen here. Anyway, that is a cooked rain tire.
There you go, Parker.
Oh, Rodney,
it's standing still.
So, yeah, you can see the feathering, these blocks, they lose their edges. When they lose their edges, they basically lose all their grip, and they start to chunk.
That one doesn't look that bad.
It doesn't look terrible, but they get way worse.
Significantly worse than that.
Oh,
there you go.
We figured out we don't have to be live. We can actually just freeze it.
Had
So
way
what I was
too much
talking
coffee
about
this
was
morning.
the edges here of these blocks. These are the blocks. This is a block as well. And as those edges get dull, they basically start to lose a lot of their grip. They lose their effectiveness in the wet, and then as they chunk and they start, you see right here some chunking and feathering of the tire, they start to lose their effectiveness even in the dry.
I just hate that we lost our hand model, Rodney Childers.
And yeah, this is where they go in their next life, and that is to be a wall
They'll be down
tire.
at turn 1 or off of turn 5. More practice coming up on CW. Glad you're
minimal amount of laps for qualifying on the slicks. Dry.
Oh, I got you.
Definitely lightening up in my section. SVG down to 77, 6 seconds off. Higher than yours, that run?
It definitely was. Well, I got out there and I'm like, I kind of went 80% through the S's just to feel like the kind of grip the high speeds are going to have. I wasn't really worried about the low speeds, and I was like, shit, might have a little more grip than I thought. Which, honestly, this state is always like the sketchiest, because like one corner you feel good and there's grip, and then the next one is all wet, you know?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's close. I don't know if we'll get all the way dry. I think a lot of people are shutting it down.
Here, and I don't think it's ready by any means.
Yeah, 10-4.
Be the same. The 7 went out on slicks and babied it, so kind of in between right now. Either abuse the rains or take it easy on slicks. So I think wait. Corey will probably agree. 35 minutes left still.
Yeah, 10-4. I'm just going to hop out. We'll wait for the last, 10, 15 minutes and go.
20 minutes. I'd like to be on track around 12. It goes to 12:15, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, 35 minutes, 12:15.
Looking at the radar and what we see in the hour-to-hour, that we're clean now. And this race later today will be in the dry. And, you know, Cup practice and qualifying is coming up, and I would anticipate that they will get to qualify as planned based on where the track is right now. Said Allgaier was out there on the slick tires. Let's get a word from their radio.
Kind of weird time with a track where you're going to abuse rain tires or be easy on slicks.
Yeah, I mean, I think I could have run a lap there and been okay. I don't think there's any issues there.
Good assessment of basically being on the slick tires. You can see it there with the yellow lettering on the side as opposed to the white lettering that's on the rain tires. But this is an odd time for everyone because you kind of want to be, you don't want to be the first out there because you can also, you know, with a set of slicks in cold temps, it takes a second for them to get up to temp as a part of this. And when you hit that water and the tires are cold, that can be like hitting ice. But you also want to get some practice laps in when it's the right time. So everyone's going to kind of be in a waiting game here a little bit.
What's going on, Dylan?
Catching up with more drivers down here. Found Sheldon Creed in the Ollie's colors this weekend. Okay, so you were one of the earlier guys to go out there. What was the track doing when you were out there, and how was it changing?
Yeah, I felt like I probably went like right as it was starting to show a little bit of dryness. So that was, yeah, fun to go kind of slide around. And it's obviously so different, like when it's wet to the dry and the lanes and lines you're choosing to go with. So, yeah, I just wanted to make sure everything was working, you know, right and go slide around a little bit. And yeah, it looks like they're going to extend practice a little bit now. So all of us came back down pit road, and now we're going to see, yeah, I guess how long it takes to dry. And then I think all of us want to go on slicks before the end of practice, just to have an idea what the race is going to be like later.
So how are we going to get it dry if everybody's going to park and sit here?
That's the problem. I think we got one guy out there who is...
I hear one guy going around here.
So we appreciate him running laps, and yeah, if we can get some more. Otherwise, we'll all end up going at some point. But, yeah, different. So it's fun. We don't get this a lot, so enjoy it when it is different like this.
Thanks, Sheldon. That's Ryan Ellis, by the way, who we are on board with right now. The lone car, I believe, out on the racetrack right now, Kim.
And Dylan, without qualifying per the rule book, Rajat Karuth will start P1 in the 88 car. So what is the biggest concern being out front to start this race?
I wouldn't say there's really a concern for me, Kim. It's kind of weird, to be honest. I mean, I've gotten poles from like inverts late model racing, but I can't say I've had one this way. So definitely some good fortune there, but not really any concerns. Fortunately, because I race trucks, I was able to go to a lot of these places before, and here was no different, you know, getting some experience here last year. So super thankful for, you know, Mr. H and Miss Linda and everybody at HendrickCars.com and the men and women at JRM and the Hendrick Engine Shop. So hopefully we can use that track position to our advantage, and just want to build on COTA for me. I didn't do a great job in practice and qualifying at COTA, but was there at the end of the race and was pretty proud of that. So want to build on that progress for this weekend and have a, you know, solid, clean race.
As we look at the board, only 3 laps. You did that earlier. Will you be back out during this practice session?
I'd like to. Shane's out on slicks right now.
You gonna put slicks on?
It's whatever they tell me to do. I would say, I don't know. I mean, the track's getting drier, right? And it'll be great to get more visuals, right? But when I went out there, I just went at 50% just to see, get my visual cues and get a look at the racetrack and whatnot. So we'll see. But I do want to go back out on the racetrack since we got half an hour of track time, and you know, we'll see. But obviously, you don't get anything from practice, so it's obviously risk versus reward, and got to be there for the race. So that's where I'm at.
88 cars won 3 of the last 4 here. Larson got a win. Last couple of years, it's been Zilich. And starting on the pole, great for a guy that's dropped down below that chase cut line.
Yeah, and based on what the 9 car does right here, you see he's hustling.
Yep.
Based on the lap time he runs, I think it's going to immediately either send everybody kind of out there at once because they're going to know where the pace is, or if you know the speed is not there. I mean, just looking at this lap, this is going to be really quick lap. I mean, the slicks are so much slicker, but if he can run a good lap, it'll kind of force everybody else's hand to you know, say, all right, well, the track's better than we thought.
He's hustling.
He is hustling it, yeah.
A lot of big slides.
His best lap is 17.95, and here he comes off of turn 5. He'll hit that alternate start-finish line, and we'll see if he picks up the pace here, and a little bit quicker.
Yeah,
1736.
Now you get some heat in these tires, and Parker referenced it with the rain tires. Shane's going to come in now. Thought he might run a couple of laps, get some heat in the tire, and see where they're at. Most of the track looks good. It's after the bus stop through that carousel. That was the part to me that looks like it's still the wettest and trickiest part of the track.
I mean, when you get actual heat on slicks, they can sort of cut through the water in those damp areas. It's just getting the heat into them that matters the most. Look at his hands here. Look at this. Beautiful. Little turn in, dab of steering.
Hustle is the word, right?
Yeah, but it's also, this is poetry right here. Watching a master at work balance this 3400 car, edge of adhesion.
I think you're writing a poem over there.
You know,
I feel like
I get very, very emotional about this stuff.
Why was Parker crying during practice?
I don't know.
Well,
I
we
love
had
stock
an
cars on
onboard
road courses.
watching Shane
I
Van
won't
Gisbergen.
lie. I think it's one of the most beautiful things in all of motorsports is these big, heavy cars going around great American road courses.
I'm going to get SVG to sign a picture for you. Yeah, he put it up in the office. He leaves.
I think. We do set 2, same pressure. We're just going out on right now. Because right now they're qualifying pressure.
You need to set them at the race pressures I gave Duncan.
Alrighty.
Yeah, you just leave those like they are, set 2 slicks. Just leave them. We're not qualifying. Qualifying is canceled.
Issue that we had before. I wonder if it was like a battery thing. It's the only thing that would make sense.
Yeah, I'll add a little bit of oil. That's what Quizma said. Just do it so it quits fluctuating.
10-4. And I wasn't, I mean, once it ran a couple laps consecutively, I was more just staring at track and dry line, making sure I wasn't doing anything stupid there. But yeah, I think I was going to come in that lap anyhow because I felt like I had to use the reins.
Copy that. Or with normal dry weather tendencies, but just wet weather tires. So he called it quits after 1 lap.
All right there.
I mean, I went half-ass.
2 of the 4 tires still have stickers on them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's going to run like 2 laps, and then we'll go.
Copy. Do you want to run any lap or just come straight to pit road?
I want to run a lap or 2 and get our travels, feel better about our travels.
Copy that.
Same deal, like that 70 to 80% I'm fine with.
Next to and say, like, I don't know if that's just because it's wet tires, you know. The only real handling characteristic I had was some tightness in the carousel, but again, that's wet, man. I just was trying to drive in pretty straight, not angle it and get in the wetter stuff. So I don't know if I want to make any changes the way. We could just kind of use that as something in the back of our mind.
But their starts this year have resulted in top 5 finishes, which is just amazing when you consider how many entries they've had through 12 races.
And I thought, as we went into this year, they couldn't top last year.
For sure.
That's what I was going to say.
I know it's on camera and on record at Daytona. We were asked that question. I was like, absolutely not. That was an incredible year that cannot be topped. And sure enough, they were like, hey, watch this. Parker. You have no idea what you're talking about.
Hold my beer.
Yeah, hold my beer and watch this. And sure enough, here we are.
Look at this number. I mean,
That's
10
crazy.
straight on the road, Jamie. That's
Crazy.
nuts.
Yeah, and they've been so fortunate, though, to have, obviously, Connor Zilic and SVG be a part of that. Allgaier is also a really good little road racer. I don't know that he gets enough recognition because of the ability of some of these other guys.
Sam Mayer's a few of those.
Sam Mayer's a great one.
He was on his tear then.
I'll tell you, though, my favorite win, and I don't like picking favorites. It's a dangerous game. Daniel Suarez, when he won at Mexico City, was, gosh, that was just amazing to witness. And, you know, if you remember, he destroyed the car and had to come from the back. And it's like, oh, this is not going to end the way that we would have hoped, because he was, you know, such a big part of promoting the race and all of that. And then for him to go out and win like he did was really, really cool.
That was impressive. I'm glad you remember it, because I know I was there, but I don't remember much. I was on about all the cold beds.
It was damp that weekend, too, you know?
Yeah. That was crazy down there and all the side-to-side hits. But Suarez did a great job coming back for that issue qualifying. Wins the race. Taylor Gray had the chance to do something that maybe he wouldn't have gotten out of that race.
Taylor Gray would still be in Mexico if he had wrecked him. It was really close there coming to those final two corners for Gray and Suarez.
You look at the wins by foreign-born drivers, Van Gisbergen, the best of the bunch. Look down there, third on that list, tied for second. I guess tied for third it would be. Ron Fellows from Canada.
Here yesterday.
Yeah, gave the command. It was great to see him.
Yeah,
he does.
He looked exactly the same.
I think they got you on that graphic. That's a little confusing right there. You put 4 people up there, they're basically all one apart.
We cleaned it up.
Yeah.
Hey, best time today, 1:17:36. Fellows could probably run a 1:18, I think.
Yeah, I would say safe to say.
You know, kind of turn to the rear. I feel like I could definitely stand a little bit more, but I like the valve so far.
Copy. I would not be scared to go another round to the rear.
Up there.
Okay. Something's pretty small. Like some soft bump.
Okay. Maybe hold up your fingers how much thickness you want for Josh. We'll let him walk over there and look at it. Minutes. Let this thing dry out a little bit more with the wind and these cars on track.
Anybody on dries yet?
I haven't seen anybody, but I don't 100% know. The 87s are on slicks, but they haven't gone out on them yet.
Okay, can I see that iPad, please?
44 is on track, but I think he's still on wet. 50 has slicks on as well. But he's not in the car.
Yeah, that's what I noticed on TV, too. I didn't see a whole lot of dry line there getting into the bus stop.
It looks like from about 4 all the way up.
Catching up with more drivers, we found Sammy Smith, who is 12th on the board right now. So what were the conditions like when you were out there, and what did you learn about the track in your race car?
Yeah, Dylan, you know, obviously the track was going through a transition of being wet to dry, and yeah, we kind of just wanted to go out and get a good feel, and wasn't giving it everything, and we'll see here if it gets dried up 100%, we'll go out on slicks and get ready for the race. I know we always bring really fast Chevrolets to the road courses, and feel like we've been really strong. So, you know, thanks to RVs for being on the car this weekend, and looking forward to, you know, getting to the race.
When the conditions are like this, and you have this longer practice session, and you have a couple of the teammates that are kind of parachuting in for this weekend that you have in SVG and Connor, are there things you're able to learn that you know, maybe you don't always have time to kind of sit down and listen and study on a normal practice weekend?
Yeah, certainly. I think today, obviously, it's a little different just because it's not a full, normal practice qualifying. But yeah, I think we start 11th today. Hopefully, we can get up stage points, stage 1 and stage 2, and then set ourselves up for a good finish there at the end. So, but definitely, hopefully, we can learn a little bit here with the track drying up. It's still probably 65% dry. It's still a little bit wet, but yeah, looking forward to the race.
Thanks, Sammy. Kim?
Well, Dylan, Corey Day makes his first start at Watkins Glen in any series. You put the most laps on the board so far in practice, so what did you learn?
Yeah, just for me, little experience on the wet track, so just getting laps on the wet track, and then obviously first laps of this place for me too. So just wanted to maximize our time. They extended practice, so that's good. Get some more laps, hopefully, in some drier conditions here at the end, but yeah, just kind of feeling the things out.
You will start a little deeper in the field. What are you worried about just being back there to start the race?
I don't know. Road courses can get pretty chaotic. Just, guys in the back trying to get to the front, making big moves that sometimes stack the field up. So just trying to do my best to stay out of that. Make it past lap 1 this week would be great. So those are the goals.
Good humor about last week, obviously. DNF after that incident, getting into the wall at Texas on the opening lap.
Kim, I think I'm right in saying Corey Day made history. He was the first driver to lead only 1 lap and win, and the following week not even complete a lap, which is remarkable.
That is quite the stat.
And I got to tell you what,
must have dug deep on that one.
Well, here's what I would say. I know it's our producer's birthday, Caleb Combs, but he's a glass half full kind of guy. I would have led with a Talladega win, and instead we're going right here to the opening lap crash in Texas.
Corey, if you have a problem with this, just write to Caleb Combs at NASCAR.com.
That's right.
But unfortunately, he's still paying the penalty for that first lap crash. Gonna have to start 27th today, but he's going to be good. You think about back at, I know Coda had a really good run. This was highlight of his year, being able to win at Talladega. I don't think anybody had that circle. That's the place we'd see Corey Dega's first win, but super consistent all year long, guys. Been good at about every type of racetrack we've been to.
But we knew he was going to win. That's the thing. It's just, and he said it, to your point, didn't expect it to be a super speedway because it just didn't. That's probably the most foreign besides road course racing to him from what he comes from, which is that sprint car, dirt background, sideways, which is a mile and a half. He's been so good at those, but was in the right place at the right time.
And based on that interview, you can tell some pressure's been lifted off of his shoulders to kind of be able to laugh off the first lap wreck last weekend. That was frustrating in the moment, but I like where his attitude is at right there.
And he's still top 5 in points. So even though he had the DNF last week, still in a really good points position as you start thinking about the summertime and eventually getting to the chase. And when we go to the metric, it's a combination of performance in the last race, both car and driver, because as we know, there's been a lot of shifting around of drivers this year, and then overall performance this season when you look at the point standings. And we have been given so much love to Shane Van Gisbergen, obviously Brent Cruz, Connor Zilic, who's won the last couple of races here, but there are some other drivers in this field today that are going to be outstanding. You see Connor here. Ross Chastain has now turned the quickest lap in practice. Saw Austin Hill on track a minute ago. I mean, there are some drivers that, Sam Mayer, that really add some depth to this field that are going to make it very, very entertaining when we go racing. And it's surprising that Austin Hill has not won on a road course because he's top 5 like every time.
He's always up front at these things. He's wildly aggressive, of course, because that's just his nature, but he gets away with it because he has a lot of speed. And I can just think to almost every finish you can think of at COTA in the last couple of years where it was close at the end, he was a part of that because he just has a knack for this. He talked about his braking into turn 1 when we interviewed him earlier, and I do think that he has a real feel for what creates speed at these road courses. His driving style, his ability to balance a very loose race car, all plays in his favor.
Chastain, SVG, Poole up there with Love and Day. Those the
going on here. No more rain lights, no more rain lights. More?
copy.
I got you. You got me?
Yes, sir. I got you loud and clear up here in the primary stand. 15 minutes remaining, and you do not have to run the rain lights anymore.
All right. I just talked to Brendan LeVar. He was in the racing line. He said you're only going to get like 2 laps right here. They're going to get too hot, and it's pretty much there's going to be junk. So just go out here and run me like 3 laps.
4.
I would just use your best judgment as a driver right here. There are still some wet spots.
The wiper out of it, or we got to keep it on? Yeah, you can run without the light. No, I know, but for the wiper, do we got to keep it like in the windshield, or we can unscrew it? We'll keep it. We'll straighten it up.
Faster, 75.56. He's P1 right now. It's about a second faster in Chastain. 21 on slicks.
Get it on pit road to get.
What you want to do on fans here?
Yeah.
Carousel, and there's a wet spot in the S's from the 21. You're good.
One over, Jeff.
Copy.
Before first lap split.
All right, I'm good when you are.
The trouble spot. Still pretty wet there. Everywhere else looks decent.
Copy, 10-4.
That one here right side, you're clear. You know, not ready in the carousel, so if you just have to creep through them, you know what I mean, and then run the rest of the track.
Copy.
Yes, sir.
Would run more than that if he feels like it's, you know, something to learn there, but he's going to have to turn his fans on after 3 laps.
Copy that. Fans after 3.
Don't warm up in the fast lane. Come on.
He's like, don't worry, just go by me.
He's a lot bigger than you.
I don't care.
Now, we say that this place is picking up a lot of speed, which it is, and you see the dry line, but those patches where it's darker and the wet, it's treacherous, and they're also taking away a little bit of grip, and it's just not allowing you to use everything out of these, every bit of potential out of these race cars. You know, if I look at the lap times, Green just went to P1 at 14.6.
Second pickup.
Yeah, that's big. We're getting there, but, you know, we would see if this was just a dry day, you'd expect to be down the 12s potentially, maybe 11s, and then qualify sub-11s potentially. So still a couple seconds off what we'd see in just pure dry conditions.
You got to think with SVG being behind him, we'll see exactly where the track is. Not to take anything away from Austin Green, but we know Shane, typically one of the fastest every single time we come to a road course. You see he's exiting turn 1 right there.
Austin's
just
going to prove you wrong.
Well, I hope he does.
Yeah, he's going to hey, man, what do you mean? I'm out here on P1. Well, now he's P2 because Brent Cruz just went P1.
You know, I will say this. I love a race in the rain, and the drivers have talked about it, and you guys have referenced how fun that is and the unpredictability, which is great. I will say, though, with the field that we have for this event, the fact that it appears it's going to be conventional and in the dry later, we are in for an enormous treat on CW at 3:30 Eastern Time. Let's send it down to Kim.
And Adam, the one guy that did not want to race in the rain, Carson Quapple. Carson, when I talked to you this morning, you said your biggest fear was the rain. It's looking much better now. How much of a sense of relief do you have?
I'm a lot less stressed, I guess. I've been here before last year, and it was very dry. So I kind of knew what to do there, but I didn't know what to do when it got wet. And kind of hate it for all these DGM guys and the Clarence Technology Group for qualifying, getting rained out, I guess you could say. Going to start based off the rule book and going to put us back a little bit, but going to go jump in the car again and try to pick up about 10 seconds, it looks like.
All right, we're going to let Carson hop in the car. Looks like we have a caution maybe for Sheldon Creed.
No caution yet, but we do have damage, Kim. And this is, you know what, here's what's tough about this. Is if you look, Sheldon's schedule is starting in third position. So you get damage, you got to repair it, you got to drop to the rear. Gosh,
A lot of stuff, but let's take a look at this. So we talk about this track drying and getting better. Here he is on the curb, and you could just see it lose it. We talk about how much little grip there is on those curbs, the paint when they're wet. There's water probably still in some of the grooves of that. I believe I could possibly even see some spray coming up. That is the risk of a, somewhat dry track, but still with wet patches out there. You start to get tricked into going to full dry mode in your head. You saw that. There was almost like a little bit of a puff. That was the water he hit with the rear of the race car when he turned in the corner. No grip, loses it. Damages that race car.
All the crew chiefs will be on the radio right now telling everybody there's nothing to win. We want to race this car. Let's take it easy. As you take a look right here, these are just little grooves that are cutting the track, and they actually did that to deter guys from running on those. And you referenced it. It was pretty dry at the start, but right towards the end of that, you saw a big mist come up, and as he tried to transition back onto the racetrack, there's nothing he could do. He was just hanging on.
And Kim had shared something with us during break, and I don't think this got on the air earlier, but that is there's only 4 road course races this year for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. And the last 2 are back-to-back next month. San Diego when we race at Naval Base Coronado, and then Sonoma. So there's not a huge turnaround time. And a lot of these teams have only got 1 road course car built just because you're not going to use it a lot. And with the turnaround being as quick as it is, you want to leave here today with a car that's in really good condition. So that report from Kim really starting to rear its head now with Creed getting banged up a little bit.
I bet they try to fix that.
I would think they will. Yeah, I think so too.
Well, remember this quick turnaround time here. We only have a couple hours till we get to race time. So it is unfortunate for these teams, on these one-day shows. This is kind of the fear, is a moment where you're like, hey, we need to fix this thing, and now we are up against the gun to get it done because it's so little time.
I was going to say, I didn't want to suggest that he's going to a backup car with what I said there, but they're assessing that damage now, as you can see, left of the screen, and trying to figure out the best way to go about getting it where it needs to be.
Well, I want to clarify, I wasn't suggesting that you were suggesting that he went to a backup car.
Hey, guys, can you suggest that you suggested something you didn't suggest?
Look at the overall time right here on the bottom, though. You see right here, Zillage all the way down to 12:26. Parker talked about this a few minutes ago. We thought low 12s, maybe mid 11s would be good lap times for where they are right now, and they're not able to use all the racetrack because everybody that saw what happened to Sheldon Creed is not going to be using those exit curves until they know that they're,
he's going to get off it quicker.
Except for Connor.
Well, he got off it quicker. He didn't stay on it. That was the key there.
That's so brave, knowing what happened.
Oh, see there, when you're shoved out a little bit, that got a little hairy for him on the exit because he just wasn't quite in the preferred lane, and there was a little bit of water, and that's just what you're dealing with at a track like this where there's those patches of wet. You just have to be so specific and precise with your race car to stay in the dry areas.
I got to think that they have not told Connor that exactly what happened with Sheldon Creed, because if that was conveyed to you, the next lap by, you wouldn't drive across all of those curves again.
Fun to watch Brent Cruz do his thing.
Hey.
Quickest to the bunch. 12:19, a 1:12.19 for this 18-year-old who's been on such a run. Had the problems at Rockingham. And since that time, in the last 4 races with 4 consecutive top 5s, has gained 77 points to the chase cut line. And his expectations in his rookie campaign to win a championship, it seems inevitable that he's going to make it into the chase based on what he's doing right now. The question becomes, how high up in the standings can he get to make his life that much easier once we get to the chase in the fall? Taylor Gray, teammate, just went to 3rd.
Yeah, and you saw him practice getting on to pit road. We know good chance we could see stages flip today and guys having to do green flag pit stops. We saw some guys running pit road speed earlier. And you saw Taylor actually using that little bit of time to practice getting on to pit road.
Jesse Love just hopped up to 3rd. Everybody going out, getting more aggressive, track getting faster as the conditions improve.
Yeah, these will be the most important laps probably of this entire session that we've had in its length. It's just now as the track is drier and drier, you want to be out there, you want to just be feeling things and experiencing this, getting yourself in the mode of understanding what grip level is out there so that when you are in those first few laps of the race, you can get after it right away.
55, Glenn Reen going to be racing later today. 99, Parker Retzloff is on track right behind Sam Mayer. Talk about performing at a high level. You know, we don't think of him as a road course guy, but because of how he performed last week at Texas, going to have a really good starting spot today and on a run of 4 top 10s in the last 5 races. And the only time he didn't finish in the top 10 is when he got involved in that accident that fell in his lap the opening couple of laps at Kansas.
And they've really been on a roll, you know, for the road course side of things. I think Retzloff has some work to do, and he knows that, but following someone like Sam Mayer can help a ton. In these rare chances you get to follow someone like that, and it's really, in a practice like this, and can kind of experience and see what they're doing differently.
It's rare that you're going to see somebody that doesn't grow up racing karts or a road racing background that's going to be able to compete at the same level as Cruz or Zilich or SVG. Most of these guys that come up now, I mean, they do more road racing, or the preparation, the Trans Am Series. It's just a different level of learning, and you know, just the preparation to get to this level is different than what it was before.
Retzloff only 1 career top 10 on the road. There's his teammate, 96, Anthony Alfredo. He's never finished in the top 10 on a road course. 92 this weekend is not Josh Williams. It's Alex Gwinnett driving for DGM. Here's Dylan.
Well, just I was down here monitoring the 00 situation, just chatted with Sheldon. He confirmed exactly like you guys said, just got crossed over the rumble strips, and that was all it took. So they do not think they're going to have to go to a backup car. They have one if they need it, but the initial thought here is that they are not going to have to go to one, so they should be able to repair this. I think he hit it fairly straight, like backed in fairly straight, so it just kind of shoved everything forward. So if they can repair that bracing and get a new deck lid and bumper cover on it, I think it should be okay. But Sheldon will have his work cut out for him later this afternoon.
You guys spend a lot of time on Twitter, X?
Not as much as you, but
not as
yeah,
much as me.
right. That's fair.
Monitoring the situation. If you do spend a lot of time, it's pretty funny. Use a phrase that Dylan used.
Oh,
yeah. Something you do on Twitter.
Is that a crutch phrase?
Yeah, well, it's a phrase in Twitter. Monitoring the situation. It's what people do. So I appreciate you, Dylan, doing that for us down there of Sheldon Creed.
Anything for you, Parker.
Yeah. Yep.
We're all here to serve, and in most situations, we're doing something to serve Parker, I would say. This is a fun ride along. William Sawalich has been good on the road, kind of quietly getting it done in road course competition. Got involved in that big crash here coming from the carousel to turn 6 a year ago.
Gosh, how different does that sound than when we were out there in the wet? They're tiptoeing around and now going fully after it into all the RPM.
Cautious not to use that exit curve that we saw some of the other drivers using. You'll give up a little bit of lap time there, but you've really in the game right now in this practice of taking the risk of going out and getting in across that water. This section of the racetrack doesn't look like a big deal from the perspective we have. From sitting inside of the car, those guardrails pop up so fast. It feels so quick inside of the car at this place.
You're doing 170 miles per hour there towards the bus stop, and it does feel so tight here at this racetrack. It's such a fast racetrack. The first time you go here, I call this super speedway of road courses because you're just in the throttle a ton. Down this backstretch, you'll get to about 160 miles an hour. So before this braking zone hard down into turn 6. Down to second gear, you'll stay in second towards the last corner. And this corner is all about just trying to get it load up quickly and feed the throttle back to it on the exit. An early run back to the throttle to get the biggest run down the front stretch.
You know, we talk about the speed, and then you think about the hard hits we've had here. And Jamie and I were remarking earlier when we had the replay of what happened in turn 7 last year when SVG and Zilich were racing for the lead, and Van Gisbergen just went hard into the wall, and the tires come up off the ground. And that's not even what you would consider one of the high-speed portions of the racetrack.
In NASCAR, we talk about Daytona, Talladega, and these massive wrecks. It's safe to say some of the hardest impacts, though, have come at this racetrack right here. I think about David Rudiman, David Reagan.
Yes.
Right here. Turn 1, 2. You see right here a little replay of 2025. These guys battling at it. You're referencing that impact coming on the front stretch.
Yeah.
Right here.
Right here it is.
It looks like
watch
they're
the
crawling,
9.
right? You're not going that fast. It's no problem. And then when you watch the impact of the 9 car right here, look, I thought he was going to get stopped before he hit the wall, and then the whole car came off the ground.
And look at the car.
Destroyed.
Just unbelievable.
And to your point, that's probably one of the slower corners on the track. You're doing over, the S is 120, 130 miles an hour. The bus stop is, I think, mid-speed, somewhere around 90 miles an hour. So it's your speed gains the entire way through the carousel, and then down here into turn 6 is a mid-speed of something around 80 miles an hour, 75. So it's a super fast track.
I don't know what the record was coming in for longest practice session for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series at Watkins Glen, but we had to be knocking on the door here today.
We
right?
definitely did. We probably just provided more practice here today than they have at about majority of the tracks
rest
combined.
of the season.
Yeah,
I will tell you this: the next 2 road course races, San Diego, Sonoma, rain should not be a factor, so we should be all good
well,
there.
now you say that, but
yeah,
NASCAR's in town.
Yeah, that's right. So practice is done. And as we've said earlier, no qualifying going on here. That portion of the day was canceled. All 38 cars here will make the show. Now the debrief begins. Cruz, Zilich, Van Gisbergen, and Mayer love the top 5. And Zilich, who's 2-0 in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, talking things over with crew chief Rodney Childers. That combination won earlier in the year in Bristol, Tennessee. We'll give you the line.
Tied to whatever happened earlier, because that hasn't happened again, but it was definitely breaking up going up the S's.
Do you think he's just going faster, we're rolling more, and it's actually a matter of the carburetor floating levels that is just pretty normal to occur in the road courses?
Yeah, it was definitely keeping it from accelerating, though. It obviously, I mean, that's the highest speed section that involves any swing back and forth, so it had only happened in that section, so it makes sense.
I think it's more the carburetor, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm with you.
A lot, but I guess I thought the 50 seconds was going to go off pit road, but no, I feel like I don't feel like it hurt us. It hurts the rest, so should be good here.
Excellent. We'll talk about the car there, see what else you think, you know.
I think the back is just kind of coming around on me. Not like straight line braking, but like when I'm having to trail with wheel input, like I can feel the rear steer.
To full drive mode in your head, you saw that. It was almost.
Yeah, 10-4. And I'm not scared to start it at plus 10. That would only be 70 pounds front bias.
No here.
In our group chat, if we can change tires now or what?
had about everything you could want out of it there during that session. So what did you learn about the racetrack and your race car?
Yeah, it's really fun in the wet. You could slide around. Yeah, thank you to Junior Motorsports for having me again. Kubota Chevy's pretty decent. I didn't get any good laps at the end, had a bit of traffic, but still think need to make the car better. But yeah, I think we start 12th or 11th for the race, so we can run from there.
We were watching you, or I was watching you, your first couple laps coming down here into turn one. Everybody else was kind of easing in there. You were just like full send in there. What's it like for you with your confidence in these race cars to just be able to go out there and kind of hustle in the wet?
Yeah, I guess I've done a fair bit of it, but I was watching these guys, seeing where they were braking, so I just went a little bit deeper. It was all right. It was a bit of fun, and I guess it was drier when I went out too, so probably why it was a bit quicker.
How do you feel about the race today? You've obviously got Connor in the field. Brent Cruz has been good. There's plenty of other guys, too, that are going to be tough. What's the difference maker today?
Just got to be consistent the whole way. The brakes are always a bit hard to hang on to for the whole race, so probably save the car at the start and see what we got at the end, but they're certainly very quick, especially Connor here the last couple of years. He's had my number, so hopefully I can get a bit closer and see where we are at the end.
Thanks, Shane. He's got to go get in the cup car, so we'll let him do that here, and we'll go check in with Kim.
Yeah, here with Austin Green, who was top 10 in that practice. Did you learn everything you needed to about the race car?
Yeah, I think the rain kind of threw a little bit of curveball for everybody, but once we got it dry and going, kind of try to practice on the race trim. So I think it's a pretty good piece, fast overplay Chevy. Can't thank Doug Peterson, 3-man service group, and
how many laps
we'll go
on
see.
these
I think
cars
qualifying
here?
kind of got canceled, so I think we're going to start in the back. So yeah, just can't thank all the team and go try to get a win later.
You're always a guy that likes to mix things up at road courses. As you look at Watkins Glen compared to the other road courses we go to, where would you kind of rank it in terms of your skill set?
It's definitely unique. It's I think it's hard to pass. Turn one's probably the best place to do it.
Change tires and add
it's
fuel
really
if you want.
fast for a road course.
Completed by 12:30. We got
it's pretty
8 minutes
chaotic.
here, guys.
So hopefully, like I said,
How's
just
the
can't thank all
splitter
the
look?
guys enough, and I think we got a good car.
Thanks, Austin.
Thank you.
8 of 9 top 10s in his career for Austin Green have come on road courses.
Yeah, this is his thing, no doubt about it. One of those right here at Watkins Glen. 2 drivers didn't go out and practice. Matt Wilson, who's making his debut. Jeremy Clements, who will make his 543rd start today. Here's the starting grid.
We referenced Roger Cruz there on the pole, essentially, for this. But Brent Cruz there on row 2, how fast he's been. He was fast in the truck race, fast in practice there. I expect him to probably get to the lead fairly quickly.
Yeah, don't count Sam Mayer out. Has 4 wins on a road course as well. He'll be a threat today.
Jeremy Clements did no laps, as you mentioned. He's just on row 6. I wonder if he might choose to start in the back or something.
Well, you know what? He's won on a road course.
Yeah.
And he's on a hot streak. 4 consecutive top 15s, back-to-back top 10s. Brennan Poole was top 10 in the first road course race of the year at Circuit of the Americas.
Harrison Burton, one of the first cars that went out today. Really slick racetrack, and start outside of row 11. And then Ross Chastain, he'll be fun to watch starting towards the back as well.
Austin Green mentioned it, but he's got a lot of work to do. He's Speedy had all the way back here. Carson Quample back here as well. So they've got to pass some cars, which is usually tough in this place.
Sheldon Creed be back there with him when they repair his 00, give up that 3rd place starting position. More from Watkins Glen after you watch this on CW.
Same air.
I know there was a lot of confidence and anticipation coming into this race anyways. Where do you feel now, or how do you feel now after getting some laps and being better than the 1 and the 9?
Yeah, it definitely feels good. I got to race against them yesterday, and that was fun too. So trying to get to see where the race is going to trend, if it's going to be as aggressive as yesterday or how that's going to work. Obviously, no qualifying is kind of putting everybody all over the place, but I'm happy with our car. It's really fast, so that's always a good sign. And yeah, it's going to be fun. The part that's going to be tricky is got bigger cars and more cars, and cars are going to be everywhere with all the barriers and stuff, so we have no idea what's going to go on. We're making a little bit of adjustments here for the race, and we're going to see how it goes.
Your results the last few weeks, all these top 5s you've put together here since you've kind of come on the scene full time. How much more, I guess, comfort does that give you about just racecraft and about the flow of these races and all the things, those little variables like you just mentioned that could make the difference?
Yeah, the top 5s have been great, and it's cool having Wix air filters on the car this week. This is my first time racing with them, and car looks great and it's fast, so that's cool too. But yeah, feel like we've been kind of doing anything but winning so far, and in a good way, right? We finished 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, so we've been all over the place. But recently we've been really consistent, and I think that just goes to show how fast these Joe Gibbs racing cars are. And yeah, just looking forward to getting this one here shortly.
That should be fun. Thanks, Brent. Kim?
Well, Dylan, Jesse Love ends practice top 5. Last year you told me this was a place you were still wrapping your mind around. Do you feel like you've gotten a handle on it?
I don't know, maybe. I think our number 2 Whelen Camaro still has some pace in it. We had this weird stumble at the top of the Estes, and you're going so fast that we're losing like half a second on all of our fast laps. So I think we'll figure it out here. The ECR guys are so good with fine-tuning that stuff with the weather changing and whatnot. So yeah, to your point though, it's been a tough racetrack for me. I feel like we've ran good on the road courses, and then we come to this place and it's not been my best track, even though I've won here in the past in ARCA. So yeah, I honestly just kind of stopped, I guess, trying to overanalyze this place, and I just showed up, and me and Connor watched Transformers 2007 last night, and then I went to bed and maybe looked at a couple notes here or there before I got on the track today, and just kind of drove by the seat of my pants. And I feel a lot more, I guess, confident, and I have a good understanding of the track today than I have previously.
Thanks, Jesse.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm curious about as we think about the race today, will there be a competition caution? A lot of times when you wash out part of the day, NASCAR can do that. And the only reason I bring it up here is because strategy is such a big part of the way you manage these races. So you throw another caution in, say lap 10, 12, whatever, with the opening stage ending at lap 20. There's a lot to think about here.
The best part for us, we don't have to worry about it.
We don't have to worry about it.
We're going to react to whatever.
I'm going to worry until it happens.
I'm not going to worry about it. It's going to be fun, though, to see how all these guys manage that. Can't wait to see the battle. We talk about Cruz, Zillage, Van Gisbergen, all those guys going at it. They went at it yesterday in the truck race, and we're going to get another episode 2 today of their battle.
And we know those are the main players, but who's going to rise up? Who's going to surprise us today? Is it the Jesse Love or someone else out there we don't know yet that who's been working on their road course craft, who's learned some things in that practice and shows up here later today? I feel like we see that often at these road courses. We know at the opening for chaos that can happen, so let's see what happens.
Extended practice, big 3 at the top. Cruz, Zillage, Van Gisbergen. Qualifying washed out. Raja Cruz starts on the pole. NASCAR Countdown Live on CW at 3:30 Eastern Time. Carla Metz will have the coverage leading us off there. For Kim and Dylan on the pit lane and Jamie and Parker here in the booth, I'm Adam Alex.